Join us by the fireside for our evening tales of true life's strange experiences with things that lie beyond the veil of the known and into the misty depths of the mysterious and unknown. Welcome back to another paranormal journey. Tonight, we're going to travel to one of the most mysterious and controversial sacred sites in South America, a place carved into solid stone, standing silently in the windswept highlands of southern Peru, near the legendary waters of Lake Titicaca. This is the site known as Amaru Muru, which is also called Puerta de Hayumarca. And to many around the world, it's simply known as the Gate of the Gods. And this is not a fictional place. This is a real place. And it's a real stone carving cut directly into a massive red sandstone rock face, a structure that has become a powerful focal point for ancient legend, indigenous spirituality, modern alternative history, and thousands of reported paranormal and spiritual experiences by travelers from around the world. Tonight, we will explore what is actually documented about Amaru Muru, from archaeology and indigenous cosmology to recorded legend to modern paranormal interpretations and first-hand accounts that have been published by real travel writers, spiritual tourists, and alternative researchers. And we're not going to judge whether these experiences are objectively real or not. We'll simply present what people have claimed to have experienced and why this silent stone doorway continues to inspire awe, speculation, and mystery. Now, the site of Amaru Muru in the Hayumarca mountain range in southern Peru in the Puno region, the site is situated in a remote rocky area surrounded by high altitude plains and sparse vegetation and the dramatic Andean landscapes. The structure itself consists of a large flat stone surface approximately 7 meters high. Carved into this rock face is a large T-shaped niche, measuring approximately 198 centimeters tall, about the height of a human being. Within this larger T-shaped carving is actually a smaller recessed niche, and near it is a circular depression carved into the stone. Now, this carving gives the unmistakable visual impression of a doorway that leads nowhere, seemingly. There is no tunnel, there's no chamber behind it, and there is no actual interior space like a cave or something like that. It's a door carved into solid rock. Archaeologists classify Amaru Muru as a form of rock-cut architecture, similar in category to other symbolic niches and unfinished stone projects found throughout the Andes. According to archaeologist Charles Stanish, a leading academic authority on the Lake Titicaca region and Andean archaeology, Amaru Muru is believed to be an abandoned or unfinished construction, likely dating to the pre-Inca or Inca period. Stanish has written that the extraordinary claims surrounding Amaru Muru come primarily from what he refers to as alternative literature, rather than from the primary historical or archaeological evidence that they have now. He notes that the portal and Stargate interpretations have emerged largely in modern times, particularly in New Age and alternative history circles. Yet even Stanish acknowledges that the structure's unusual form and isolated placement make it a powerful focal point. And that is exactly what has happened. While the site was likely known locally for generations. Amaru Muru came widely into the public attention around about the 1990s. Modern sources commonly credit Jose Luis Delgado Mamani, a local Peruvian tour guide, with bringing broader attention to the site in 1996. Mamani reported the location and began guiding visitors there, helping transform it from a little-known local curiosity into an internationally recognized destination for spiritual tourists and paranormal researchers. From that point forward, Amaru Muru began appearing in travel guides, New Age publications, alternative history books, and eventually on paranormal television programs and websites. As interest grew, so did the documented experiences. One of the most famous and enduring stories connected to the site is the legend of Amaru Muru. Now, this legend is not found in primary Inca or even Spanish colonial records. However, it is widely documented in modern alternative history literature and tourism narratives and spiritual publications. So, according to the legend, during the Spanish conquest of the Inca Empire in the 16th century, a priest named Amaru Muru or Amaru Muru, and I'm not actually sure which one is correct. Perhaps, they both are, but I don't know. Anyway, so this priest was either called Amaru Muru or Amaru Muru, and he fled with a sacred golden artifact. Now, this object is commonly referred to as the golden sun disk, or the key of the seven rays. The legend claims that this disk was a sacred object associated with divine power. As Spanish conquistadors looted temples and melted down gold, Amaru Muru is said to have escaped into the mountains carrying the disc with him. According to the story, he arrived at the stone doorway at Heyu Marca. He placed that golden disc into that circular depression carved into the rock. And at that moment, the legend claims, the doorway activated, opening a passage to another realm. Amaru Muru, or Amaru Muru, is said to have stepped through the stone doorway and disappeared, entering the world of the gods, or another dimension, never to return. Charles Stanish has explicitly stated that this legend originates in modern alternative literature and is not supported by historical documentation. But nevertheless, the story is now deeply embedded in the modern identity of the site and is frequently told by guides and repeated in paranormal and New Age sources. So we're not actually sure as to the truth of this story, but it certainly is a very interesting legend. And to understand why Amaru Muru has become such a powerful spiritual symbol, it is essential to understand the sacred nature of the region itself. Lake Titicaca is one of the most sacred bodies of water in Andean cosmology. In Inca tradition, it is considered the birthplace of the first Inca rulers, Manco Capac and Mama Oclo. And I don't know if I pronounced that right, but that's as much as I can do right now, who emerged from the lake to found the Inca civilization and establish Cusco as the capital. Throughout Andean spiritual tradition, natural features such as mountains, springs, caves, and unusual rock formation were considered huacas, sacred places imbued with spiritual power. Huacas were believed to be points of contact between the human world and the spiritual world. Anthropological research on Andean belief systems shows that these sacred places were not merely symbolic. They were considered living spiritual entities, places where ancestors, spirits, and divine forces could be accessed. Many modern guides and spiritual practitioners describe Amaru Muru as a huaca, a spiritual threshold or gateway. This interpretation is consistent with broader Andean spiritual traditions, even if the specific portal narrative is more modern. The indigenous names associated with Amaru Muru further reinforce its spiritual associations. The Quechua and Aymara linguistic roots connected to the site include Aheyu, meaning spirit, soul, or life force; Marca, meaning town, place, or sacred location. In some interpretations, the name is also connected to concepts of spiritual energy and consciousness. These linguistic associations have been cited in travel literature and cultural discussions of the site. Beginning in the late 20th century, Amaru Muru became increasingly associated with New Age spirituality and alternative history theories. The site is frequently described in books and documentaries as a possible interdimensional portal, Stargate, gateway to other realms, or an energy vortex. One of the most influential figures in shaping this interpretation is Erich von Daniken. And again, I apologize if I have mispronounced that. A Swiss author best known for promoting the ancient astronaut hypothesis. Von Daniken has written extensively about ancient civilizations and has suggested that some ancient structures may be connected to extraterrestrial visitation or advanced ancient technologies. While von Daniken has not focused exclusively on Amaru Muru, he has written about the Lake Titicaca region and other Andean sites as potential evidence of ancient advanced knowledge. His work has played a major role in popularizing the idea that certain ancient sites may have been used as portals or technological installations. Another figure often referenced in alternative circles is Nassim Haramein, a physicist known for promoting unconventional theories about space-time, consciousness, and ancient knowledge. While his work is not accepted by mainstream science, his ideas are frequently cited in New Age discussions of sacred sites and portals, including Amaru Muru. One of the most important aspects of Amaru Muru's modern reputation comes from the sheer number of travelers, spiritual seekers, and tourists who have publicly documented unusual experiences at the site. These accounts appear in travel blogs, New Age publications, spiritual tourism websites, paranormal and alternative history outlets such as Ancient Origins. Across these sources, certain types of experiences are repeatedly reported. Visitors will commonly claim things like tingling sensations in the hands, arms, or body when they get close to the portal. A feeling of pressure in the head or chest, or dizziness, lightheadedness, strong emotional reactions, a sense of altered awareness, claims of hearing humming, buzzing, or unusual sounds, claims of seeing light or visual disturbances during meditation. A travel writer known simply as Norman, who publishes on the blog Année de Pèlerinage, and I apologize, but I probably pronounced that wrong. Anyway, he wrote that local guides instructed visitors to stand inside the doorway and press their bodies into the niche and place their hands on the stone. He reported that guides told him this ritual is believed to facilitate visions or contact with other realms. Norman personally described the sensation as uncomfortable and physically intense. He also noted that many visitors he encountered believed strongly that the site had a sort of unusual energetic effect. On travel and spiritual tourism websites, numerous commenters and contributors describe feeling something unusual while standing in the doorway. These statements are published and attributed to real visitors, even though they are anecdotal. Numerous commenters and contributors describe feeling something unusual while standing in the doorway, for example. Ancient Origins a well-known alternative history publication, has published multiple articles discussing Amaru Muru. These articles cite repeated claims by visitors who report sensations of energy, altered consciousness, and spiritual experiences. Modern Andean spiritual practitioners and shamans are often reported to use Amaru Muru as a ceremonial site. While there is limited formal anthropological research specifically focused on rituals at Amaru Muru, Andean shamanic traditions widely include sacred thresholds, spiritual portals, and places believed to facilitate communication with ancestors and spirit realms. Travel writers and tour guides frequently report that spiritual ceremonies, meditations, and ritual practices are conducted at the site. These practices are part of a broader Andean spiritual context that views certain locations as spiritually charged. Amaru Muru is often compared to other enigmatic Andean sites, including the Gate of the Sun at Tiwanaku in Bolivia, Nopa Iglesia, another rock-cut structure in Peru. Nopa Iglesia, in particular, is frequently mentioned in alternative history literature as another example of a precisely carved stone doorway that leads nowhere. These comparisons have helped reinforce the interpretation of Amaru Muru as part of a broader tradition of symbolic or possibly ceremonial stone portals in the Andes. From a strictly academic standpoint, Amaru Muru remains classified as a rock-cut niche, likely unfinished and possibly ceremonial or symbolic, and not a functional doorway. Charles Stanish and other archaeologists emphasize that extraordinary claims about portals and stargates originate primarily from modern alternative literature. However, archaeologists also acknowledge that many Andean sites remain incompletely understood. The lack of written records from pre-Inca cultures means that symbolism and function are often inferred rather than definitively known. So Amaru Muru exists at a powerful intersection of ancient sacred geography, indigenous spiritual belief, modern legend, alternative history interpretation, and thousands of personal spiritual testimonies. The stone doorway itself is real, and the sacred nature of the region is real. The legend of Amaru Muru is real, as a documented modern legend. What remains unknown is whether these experiences that people have had are purely psychological, culturally conditioned, geophysical, spiritual, or something else entirely. For many who visit, Amaru Muru is not simply a stone carving. It is a place where myth feels alive, where the boundary between legend and personal experience becomes blurred, where ancient stone and modern belief come together to create a powerful sense of mystery. As we conclude tonight's journey, Amaru Muru stands as a reminder of how deeply human beings are drawn to thresholds, to doorways, to gateways, to places that feel like they exist between worlds. Whether it is an unfinished ceremonial carving, a sacred huaca, or something more, Amaru Muru continues to inspire stories, visions, and spiritual exploration. Perhaps its greatest power is not in what it physically is, but in what it represents, a doorway into humanity's enduring fascination with the unknown. So if I ever get a chance to go to Peru, that's certainly a place I would like to visit. But I expect that there are certain times of year that are better to go than others because of, tourism. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's paranormal story about the incredible Amaru Muru. And if you have anything you'd like to share, then please do so in the comments, and feel free to support the channel by subscribing and clicking the like button. So until next time, stay safe out there.